Hello and welcome to Table Scraps. It's a solo episode. It's just me here. Actually, it's not just me. It's me talking to a copy of Civolution in the guest seat. Hi, Civolution. How are you doing today? I totally agree. Well, the reason why is because I'm basically about to do a whole bunch of traveling, and I just don't have time to coordinate for someone to come in here, etc. So I thought, well, this is a new YouTube channel. Why don't we play around with the format, see what's going on? And I thought, you know what? This would be a fun time to go through my collection and try to cull or keep things. This is a pretty standard thing we see a lot, the cull or keep situation. And I thought, I need to do this. I have a lot of games, and if I had my druthers, I would keep them all. I love them all, and I feel like there's a time and place for each and every one of my games. I really don't want to kill any of my babies. People say that a lot, especially in writing. You have to kill your babies. I literally don't want to kill babies. I don't really like babies in general, but when it comes to killing them, I'm not going to kill a baby. But guess what? We're actually going to maybe kill some babies today in the form of board games, which are my babies. So I've decided that I'm going to try to gamify this a little bit because we want to motivate things coming out of the collection. Left to my own devices, I will probably come up with an excuse for why every game needs to be kept. So I have decided that if I don't cull something, if I pick a game and I keep it, I have to make a pop culture admission that might invite scorn from the audience. So that is my plan. Are you ready, Civolution? You crazy. Okay, here's the first game. I've got a stack here. The wide shot, you can see my stack of games. So spoiler alert, you can kind of figure out what I'm going to be culling or keeping. Okay, here's the first one. This is a big cull candidate. Black Angel. This one has been on a lot of people's cull lists. This is a big cull. If it were a supermarket, it might be a King Cullen, because it's been culling about. Black Angel, game by Sébastien Dujardin, Xavier Georges, and Alain Orban. This one came out a few years ago. Basically considered it's not really an official sequel to Troyes, but a spiritual successor. A lot of the same game mechanics. There's a lot of hype around this one. Rado was super into it. I mean, he loved it. I watched his playthrough. I got into it. I loved his enthusiasm for it. And I was like, yes, this is an auto buy. It has a lot of the same mechanics, and yet it doesn't really sing in the same way. I think that it's a little overstuffed because you have the sort of the Troyes central board. You also have these Ravagers that come and attack. But in original Troyes, there's also events that work against you. So there's kind of, that's not too crazy. But there are two big elements that I think maybe detract away from the central thing going on here. One is there's a giant space board where you're traveling through space and you can put your little robots into little pods and send them around the universe, which is, by the way, the best part of this. When you put your little robots into that spaceship and you send them to different parts of the galaxy, you're obligated to then go. Well, actually, no, that's not really a spaceship noise. Maybe that's what I do. Yeah, it's sort of like Jetsons-esque. But I find that the game, it kind of ramps up quickly and then it's over. And so you don't really get to play around as much in that galaxy. And I'd like more of that. There's also this whole thing where there's a player board, your personal player board, and you can slot things into it. And when you slot things into it, you push things forward. And it's a whole thing. And you do it at the top of your turn. And that's an interesting thing too. It almost feels like there are three separate games going on here. There's the main Troyes board, the dice stuff with that's classic Troyes. You've got this Galaxy, which is a new fancy version of stuff you also see in Troyes. And then you have this player board thing, which I believe is actually taken from another one of the designer's games. I forget which one, but it's a little overstuffed and then it's over. And I kind of feel a lot of people were disappointed about this. And I kind of feel like I've given this game a shot a few times. It's never really popped. So do I cull it? The problem is I always have this sneaking suspicion that there's more to this game. I feel like I need to still play it more. I feel like with a few more plays, I can sort of access some really cool elements of it, but it's also big. It takes up space. I would hate to start this whole episode, and if this is a series that I do, I would hate to start this entire series with a keep instead of a cull. I think I keep it though. I know it's terrible. I just feel like there's just like a little bit more juice in there. I want to get to it. I know it's there. Rado had so much fun playing it. And I also feel like sometimes when someone has so much fun playing a game, you just can't discount that. Like this accessed a joy center for someone. And that person could be me too. So I'm gonna keep Black Angel. Black Angel, you go sit over with Civolution. Civolution is never getting cold. It is a keeper. So hang out with your new friend Civolution and learn the ways of Civolution and how you can be a keeper for life. Congratulations, Black Angel. So now I have to come up with a pop culture admission. Here's one that I think is topical and embarrassing, which is I kind of don't mind Katy Perry. I mean, it was silly that she went into space. I think she's better than people give her credit for. I have a random track of hers, an acoustic track of her singing Black and Gold, the Sam Spiro song, and she sings it really well. Listen, it's mortifying, but I kind of like Katy Perry. I'm not gonna punch down on her as much. Now she's done some questionable things, tried to evict nuns. She started working with Dr. Luke again, so that's not great. But I think there are far worse offenders out there. And honestly, female pop stars, here's my hot take. Female pop stars, the moment they deviate, the moment they step off the path, they just get shat on so much. Whereas male pop stars get chance and chance again. Although one can make an argument that Katy Perry's had many, many chances because she's still doing stuff and she's still touring and massively successful. So that was pop culture admission number one, which is I kind of like Katy Perry. Here's a big one. This one, Dinosaur Island, the deluxe edition. This was one of the first deluxe games I ever backed. It is so heavy, and it's heavy and jammed full of stuff. I wish you could, I don't know if you can see how heavy this is. I'm trying to really express. So, Dinosaur Island, designed by Jonathan Gilmour and Brian Lewis. Jonathan Gilmour was one of the designers on Dead of Winter, one of my all-time favorite games. A great, great game, semi-cooperative game, zombie game. Never had a bad time playing it, and I actually am sad that I haven't played it in a few years, and I need to bring it back to the table immediately. So I got Dinosaur Island because I'm a huge Jurassic Park fan, and I love the idea of a board game, which is what this one is. Well, obviously it's a board game, but it's a board game that's going to sort of capture the Jurassic Park vibe, wherein you're going to make a theme park, you're going to put dinosaurs in it. The dinosaurs will come with a certain degree of risk and danger and maybe eat some of your tourists. And so you have to manage a theme park, you have to manage danger, you have to manage dinosaurs, you have to build in attractions. So I was really drawn to this. There was another game that came out around the same time called Dinogenics, which also kind of did the same thing. And people called that like Agricola for dinosaurs. And I was like, which one do I get? Which is funny because you can get both, but because two things are the same theme, sometimes we do this to ourselves. You know, how many repetitive games do we get all the time? And yet if there's a crossover with theme, we're like, we can only have one. Well, that was a miss on my part. I always wanted to play Dinogenics and never did. This one, well, first of all, it has crazy art in the front, which I love. I love this crazy 90s type art. Here's what I know. Here's what I remember about this one. First of all, the rulebook had a monospace font, which drove me absolutely nuts. Shame on them. Second of all, I remember feeling like the creation of the park was not as vibrant as I wanted it to be. There's a lot of intrigue that is centered on how you mix DNA together, and like you have to get certain DNA right, and then with the right DNA, you can then create a dinosaur. And I remember feeling like that was like the main game element. And it felt like the focus of the game really should have been the park. Like it doesn't matter really where you build your dinosaurs. If you have a Tyrannosaurus next to a Stegosaurus, that's really not going to have any bearing on anything. I mean, obviously you care about your park because you do things like you build in attractions, and then you get special workers, like maybe a PR person, if I remember correctly, security guards, and that stuff is all really fun. But the actual act of building your park, there wasn't really much of a puzzle there, if I remember correctly. There were dino meeples, which I really love. I think toy factor matters more for me than I like to admit. I used to think, oh, presentation, plastic, I don't care about that stuff. In fact, it's like a detriment. But the truth is, I really was drawn to this game because I could make a park and put in little dinosaur meeples and make it look like a dinosaur park, like Jurassic Park. And so on that promise, it does deliver. And there is a lot of fun to be had. I remember just having a very lovely time with this game. But one of the issues also with it is it comes with like a short game, a medium game, and a long game. And you play the short game and it's so deeply unsatisfying. And then people don't like it and then people don't want to play it. It was always like a very nice time, but never an amazing time. It just somehow was missing a little X factor. I tried to make this one work. I think I might play this one more time just in case, but the truth is, Dinosaur Island is in fact a cull. I think it's going to get a goodbye play. It's not going to get a redemption play. If somehow it does get redemption, that will be amazing for it. Stranger things have happened, but I think it's going to be a farewell play, and I hope it finds a new home. This is a really, there's a lot to like here, but it doesn't have the puzzle that's super exciting or the interaction, and the most puzzly part of the game is arguably the least interesting part for me, which is gaining DNA and just rolling dice, and there's like a dice draft. It's a lot going on in this game, but doesn't quite get to where I need it to be. So thank you for visiting Dinosaur Island. You have been cold. The cold game just go right here in front of the coffee table. So they sit at the throne of Civolution, but they don't actually get to join it like Black Angel did. Okay, here's one. Well, it's a classic. Istanbul. The winner of the Spiel des Jahres in 2014, the Kenner Spiel des Jahres, which is very nice and all, but like obviously it should have been Concordia. Like that was obvious then, and it continues to be obvious today. But this Istanbul is a very fun game. This is a really fun mid-weight game, a delight. It's a romp as you go around the city, you collecting your cousins, it's not you don't collect your cousins, but you do have a cousin. You have like a nefarious cousin who gets into trouble, which is one of my favorite little pieces of flavor text they have in here. I really, really enjoy this one. I didn't actually buy this copy. My friend bought this copy, and then because she really liked it when she played it, and then she wound up culling it because she realized she just wasn't playing it. So she gave it to me, and I was like, I will take it because I love Istanbul, and I believe that there's a time and a place for Istanbul. And I have a certain group of friends I play with who this is absolutely perfect for. But the truth is, I haven't played it since she gave it to me. God, I thought this was going to be an easy call. I was like, I'm putting it on the stack. It's going to be an easy call for the video. But now, okay, you use some self-control, Ben. It's really so fun, but realistically, okay, here's what I'm going to do. It's going to be a cull, but I'm going to try to keep it in the friend group, so that way we still have access to it, but it just might not be in my library. So it's a cull with not a cull with reservations. It's an asterisk cull, but it's a cull nonetheless. So you have been cold. Istanbul, more like Istanbul. Thank you for joining us. You're a great game, but no longer needed in my life. Bruges. I don't know if this is a Grail game or not because it's out of print. And Queen game, this is by Stefan Feld. Oh, by the way, Istanbul is by Rutger Dorn. Bruges, this is a classic Stefan Feld game. In this game, you are ostensibly building the city of Bruges or whatever. It's like a Stefan Feld thing. You're in Bruges, like the movie, which I've never seen. Oh, that was a bonus pop culture admission. In Bruges, I mean in the game Bruges, you roll dice and there's the dice values that are there are going to determine what you can actually do for the round, and you have all these multi-use cards, and based on the dice you can do certain things with your cards. So if the dice are different colors, so if there's like a yellow 2 like a yellow 2. if I remember correctly, you can maybe gain two coins from your yellow card or something like that. It's okay. I probably should have boned up on the rules, but there are disasters that happen, and so you're using the cards to maybe get rid of disasters. Depending on the die roll, disasters may come. If there's a high die roll, if it's a low die roll, it's something else. The point is you're building cards out, you're collecting money, you're collecting meeples, you're doing all sorts of fun stuff. It's slightly chaotic because there's this whole card draw in it that can or can not work against you. I really enjoy Bruges, and it's a little shocking that it's on my Cull pile, but that's because I have the game Hamburg. I'll be American. I'm trying to pronounce it all German. I'm Hamburg, which is the re-release of this game. Stefan Feld made a re-release with Queen Games, the City Collection Hamburg. So Hamburg has incorporated the storied expansion to this game. Bruges has an expansion called the Zwin or something like that. But whatever. It has an expansion that's hard to find. Hamburg includes it, so that's good. Also, Hamburg adds this element of parks and zoos. The gameplay in Hamburg, it basically takes this and improves it. The gameplay is just better. It's better. The card play is not as random. There's not a random draw hoping you get the right colors. You can always choose exactly what color you want in the game. It's just, it's all the gameplay in this, but does a better job. The reason why I'm having some concern about whether or not to call this, because you would think, well, if Hamburg is doing it better, well, why keep Bruges? Well, Bruges, first of all, the art in Bruges is better. It's way more charming. It has a lot more personality. It's also more functional. It's more evocative. In Bruges, all the cards, basically what you're doing is you're building buildings and then you're putting people in the buildings. And every card is a person. So maybe you might get a dancer or a king or like a merchant, and they all have faces. And I really like that a lot. And I like creating a tableau. I like having all these houses and you put people in it and then you look down at what you've built and there are all those faces smiling back at you in a creepy way. And you think like, oh, look at all these people. And you can tell stories. You can tell stories of the people who've moved in. And then if there's a fire, maybe some of them die, which is also a story. And I just like that. I think the board is very evocative and charming. Hamburg really has very generic art. It's not bad. It's just generic. Instead of having people that move into houses, the houses are now construction sites and the people are now buildings. So you start with a construction site and then you erect a building. So you have all these sort of generic buildings that don't have a lot of personality, that don't do much for storytelling. They don't immerse you in that way. And I think that's a big loss. And so it's like, oh, do I keep Bruges? Because Bruges has that really good personality to it. And on top of that, like it's out of print. This is a special game, But I think that for all the personality of Bruges, the reality is I'm always going to play Hamburg despite its presentational flaws. I think oh God, I really like this game. I'm just opening it up. I'm just going to take one last look. Oh, this board is just first of all, it's small. It's a small board. It's efficient. It looks nice. I really just adore so much about this game. So I think this is unfortunately a Cull with regrets. So while Civolution, the latest Stefan Feld masterpiece, sits on the chair of, what is it? Is the chair of permanence? The chair of entitlement. Bruges, unfortunately, joins Istanbul. So Bruges and Istanbul, two very good games that will be culled from this collection, sitting on top of a very okay game, which is Dinosaur Island. So thank you, Bruges. You're a great game, but unfortunately, you have been displaced by a more generic but kind of more functional version. So you've been gentrified, basically. Your charming little craftsman bungalow has been replaced with a mixed-use building, which has a lot less joy, but honestly, it comes with the sprouts, so we can't complain. Okay, the last one on this stack. Crystal Palace. This is a heavy game, and it's by Karsten Lauber. I think it was a first-time design. So this is an interesting dice drafting game. If I remember correctly, You have dice that you are going to draft, but when you want to use them, you have to spend like the pips or money. You got to spend the pips, and I don't remember totally exactly how it works, but it has a defining dice drafting mechanic that really powered it through a lot of good reviews and a really strong reception. And in my gaming group on Game Brain, this came out the same year as Barrage, and I actually wasn't on Game Brain yet, the podcast, or I don't think I was. And at that time, I think it was Tom. Tom put this as the #1 game of the year over Barrage, and Pipeline too, which is kind of crazy. I played this game a few times. I love the central mechanism, but it never quite translates into a huge amount of fun for me. I don't know what it is. There's a lot of feel bad moments in this game where you get iced out of doing anything useful. But also there's like some weird mechanics. There's something where like there's like 2 different areas on the table that sort of synergize with each other. I think it's like you've got like inventors and inventions or something like that. And it's like, if you have the inventor and then you find this invention, you get extra points. So you're trying to create these synergies, but it's a crapshoot if you'll ever even be able to do it. It just feels like it's a good game, but it doesn't quite get to where it needs to be for me in terms of joy and fun. It's a hard one though. There's so much to like about this game. So much. But it's just sometimes an amazing central device or mechanic is just not enough to do it. Sometimes you need a little bit more. I love the setting. The setting is it's like World's Fair. It's the Crystal Palace is the World's Fair 1851 in London. So I love the setting. Although the setting is only kind of like nominally like part of the game, like it really could be anywhere. So I think Crystal Palace, despite some really cool stuff, this is gonna be a Cull, more like the Cull Palace. Cull Palace. I feel like I want to do one more. Let me find one more. We'll do a little cut, and I'm gonna find a game, and I'm gonna bring it on up here. Bring it on up here to the main stage. Okay, I just went into the closet, the gaming closet. That is. I did not ungay myself. I'm still very gay. And I pulled out Fields of Green by Vangelis Bagiartakis, who I believe is the same designer as Hegemony. In fact, I'm going to look it up right now on my phone. Okay, let's see what's going on. Let's see. BGG. Yep. It is confirmed. From the designer of Hegemony comes Fields of Green. Wow, what a combo. So in this game, this is a drafting game. Actually, what this is kind of like a reimplementation of Among the Stars, which I never played. That is a drafting game where I think you build a space station or something like that. And I could be wrong. But in this one, you are drafting and building out a farm. Who would have thought? Farming and board gaming. You're building out a farm, and you have to build your farm in a certain way that you incorporate really important elements. Like you might need a water tower. You might want to add animals, vegetables. You might want to add certain structures to make your farm make your farm do all the good farm things. It's funny because I'm not even a huge drafting game fan. Like Seven Wonders I'm not big on Seven Wonders. I'm not big on King Domino. I just talked about this on the Game Brain podcast. There are a few others. Like I like drafting in a game, but sort of like when the whole game is drafting, it just doesn't do much for me. Sort of like when the start of the round, there's like a big draft, you collect, the round ends, and you do another round, you like resolve any of your effects and do another round. That's like not my vibe. If the drafting is part of the round, if that's like part of the big decision space, great. But if it's all you're doing is drafting and then placing, I'm like, huh. So it's weird that I got Fields of Green because that's what this game is. You draft these cards. Let me see if I can show you one. Because who remembers this game? I just remembered. It comes with a burlap bag, draw bag. I'm literally sniffing the burlap on video, which is not creepy at all. This was part of this is a Kickstarter thing because I backed this on Kickstarter. It came with a burlap bag which is so farmy. So you have these cards. They're all like this side. They're square. They're all square cards. This one says pigs. Yeah, so you build this whole farm and you do it over like, I think like 4 rounds, maybe more, maybe it's 6, 8, who knows. You build your farm up and all your areas, you need to have water for the different tiles, and your water towers can only go so far. So you have to draft water towers in. And even though you may want to bring in some chickens, you need to get that water, all those fun decisions. It's a game that I played a few times when I first got it. And then it's kind of been in that closet for a long time and it hasn't been touched. So it feels like this would be an amazing candidate for a culling. I haven't touched it. It's not even the type of game I really like. But here's the thing. Here's what I really like about this game, and this is what drew me to it originally. I love that this is a 20th century farming game. This is not medieval farming. We are not in like rural Germany with our sheep and our leaky straw roof and begging for food. We're just sort of like in the Midwest, in Midwestern America. I think it's Midwestern America. It feels very American, but that could be very like American to say that. It just says it takes place in the 20th century. But there's tractors, there's like modern machinery. It's kind of has a nostalgic feeling to it. It reminds me of being a kid and reading all those picture books about like the things on a farm in a way that I really like. I think it's actually really charming. And I actually just really like the world of this game. I want to stay in the world of this game. And I also have some friends who I know when I play this with them, they are so enchanted and they love it. The same friends who would play Istanbul and who would enjoy Istanbul. But this one, I know this is a game I can play with my friends who I play Atiwa with, where we sit there and we make jokes about the bats and we make jokes about building out your landscapes in that game. You make jokes here about, I've got pigs, I've got a farm that's nothing but pigs maybe, or pigs and corn. So I'm keeping this game because I see the value that it adds to me and my friends as what could be the centerpiece of a good evening. And it's also something that I know could keep maybe my lighter game friends or people who are not as much in the hobby interested in playing board games, because the truth is not everyone wants to play a super, super heavy game, and people sometimes just want to play games that bring delight, especially in 2025 in America where there's a lot of tension. So for that, I am going to keep Fields of Green in the collection. And on top of that, I am going to try to fast track it to get it to the table again sometime very soon, because it is a lovely game. And it's staying in the collection on the basis of loveliness. So that's kind of fun. So I guess my pop culture admission, punishment for me keeping a game. Well, I've never seen Rocky. I guess that's an admission. So I've never seen Rocky. Never seen it. I've never seen Predator either. I'm going to give it a bonus one. I've never seen Rocky or Predator, which seems to really bother some people. Here's one. I don't really like the MCU. How about that? I loved Black Panther and I actually loved the first Avengers, but the second Avengers was so bad. I was like, I'm not watching these movies anymore, except for Black Panther I watched. And I just find that each one of them is just generic. And every time someone would say, no, but this one's really good. Oh, Iron Man's amazing. Oh, Guardians of the Galaxy is amazing. I have to say, every single time, I thought they were fine. They were fine, but it just sort of felt like a waste of money and time. So I would rather play Fields of Green than watch really any MCU movie. How about that? And I stand by that. And if people get offended, you're just going to have to be offended, because I hear it a lot when I tell people that I watch The Real Housewives, and people say, how do you watch The Real Housewives? Well, guess what? I say, how do you watch MCU? Okay. So that got a little crazy there. Fields of Green stays. This is going on the chair. Fields of Green and Black Angel are staying. I can't believe Black Angel is staying, but it is going to stay, along with Civolution. Civolution, thank you so much for being here and for being a great guest on this Cull episode. You've done a remarkable job, and I don't think I would have been able to do this without your support. So thank you so much. Right. Well, we're going to have to edit that out because that was a little offensive. Okay. This is 2025. You can't say those things. All right. Thank you so much for being here on this adventure. I would love to hear what you guys think about these games that I have culled and kept. Be sure to like and subscribe. Maybe I'll probably do this again because it's going to help me move these games out of here. And we'll catch you in the next Table Scraps. Bye.